We're going to start with questions. We'll begin with Joe Bettner and then go to Jason Kersey. Joe?
DaShaun, just with how the past 2 weeks have went, you guys face another really good quarterback in Sam Ellinger. I'm curious how big of a challenge he presents to you guys and how quickly you guys can maybe right some of the wrongs you had against, Skylar Thompson and Brock Purdy.
Yeah, obviously really excited for the opportunity. Really good offense from the play calling. They like the tempo a lot. They got a lot of playmakers all over the field to spread it out. So, we're excited for, this opportunity. Like you said, sort of right our wrongs. We feel like, we're still very confident in who we are as a defense, and we feel like this is a perfect opportunity to go and flip the script.
Thank you.
Jason Kersey and then Eric Bailey.
Hey, DaShaun, what do you think has been – how do you diagnose the problems you guys have had in the fourth quarter? What do you think has gone wrong, and how can you guys fix it?
We just have a problem finishing. It's simple, but it's not easy to fix, if that makes sense. So it's one of those things that I feel like when we get into, fourth, third quarter and we're, starting to separate or whatever the case might be, we have to work on staying consistent, and playing the same way throughout the game, no matter, what the deal is, whether we're down 30, up 30, anything like that. We've got to find out as a team how to play as consistent and as, as consistent as possible. And that's what it comes down to.
We'll go to Eric Bailey and then Ryan Aber.
DaShaun, Oklahoma hasn't lost 3 regular season games in a row since the late 90s. For the program's national perception, how important is it to not let the team get to that mark this weekend?
Very important. Very important. We were just talking as a team, just players like who do we want to be, and the things we want to do. There's still a lot of opportunity in front of us. We've got 2 losses right now, 2 ugly losses, but it's one of those things like, we're in control of our destiny. If we keep our heads up and we keep fighting, if we keep swinging, we can turn this thing around and, be smiling at the end of the season. So it's one of those things like right now it feels pretty crappy, but we keep swinging, we keep working hard, which is what we're doing. We expect to be very happy at the end of the season.
Thanks, DaShaun.
Ryan Aber and then Bob Prisbillo.
Yeah, DaShaun, when you go back and look at it, especially last Saturday's game, the tackling was obviously an issue for this defense. How do you fix that, especially during the middle of the season when you're not doing as much tackling in practice, contact, things like that? And just how frustrating is that to see when it compounds on the other issues that y'all have had?
It is pretty frustrating to see because it's not a problem that I felt like was a part of fall camp or anything like that. So for it to just sort of come up during the game, I think it also goes with, us playing as consistent as possible, because there's some plays where usually at the beginning of the game, we tackle very well, as a team, we're all swarming to the ball, that sort of thing. We're making tackles in open space, stuff like that. So I think it's just how can we as a team get to the point to where we can make the same play in the first quarter, play 3 of the game that we can make play 63, in the fourth quarter. So.
Thanks, DaShaun.
Okay, Bob Prisbillo and then Barry Trammell.
DaShaun, coming off 2 losses like that, does it help to play Texas? Because, no matter how your season is going, this is the 1 week where focus really shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah. Honestly, with the way that I want to say it helps, but, if we played anybody this week, I feel like we were going to come, as hungry as possible. So I'm very confident, like I said, in our ability to play right now. It's obviously exciting that the game is against Texas, but I think no matter who it was, we were coming.
Okay, Barry Trammell and then Danielle Dwyer.
Yeah, DaShaun, it's going to be such a strange feeling going to the Cotton Bowl Saturday with no crowds around. The bus ride, the historic bus ride is going to be different. the stadium's going to be a quarter full and it's such an electric atmosphere usually. How do you anticipate the atmosphere being, and how will you guys adjust to it?
I think that's one of those things that we just can't worry about, if I'm being quite honest with you. I think that the most important thing is that we show up to play. You know, we're ready to play a 4-quarter game. We're ready to play as long as we need to play, and we're ready to play as consistent and as hard as possible. And, you know, it's obviously going to be a bummer that things aren't going to be the way they were in the past, but it's one of those things that if we show up to the game and we let that affect the way we come out and play, then we're going to be very disappointed at, you know, the end of Saturday. So we need to make sure we come out with our heads right, you know, not expecting whatever from the crowd or whatever from the audience, and just come to play hard.
Okay, we'll go to Danielle Dwyer and then Keegan Renault.
DaShaun, we hear you guys and Alex talk about, 5 takeaways on a Tuesday doesn't do you good on Saturdays. And just, you talked about how physical you guys are in practice. But from your perspective, where do you feel the biggest disconnect is with you guys and what you see from you during practices versus a game? Is it a mentality thing, or do you think it is really a physical thing?
I think it's a mentality thing. I do. I think that we have to work on being – I mean, it just keeps going back to consistency, you know. I feel like our mentality is very inconsistent, which is something that we work on daily, you know. It's just we have to continually remind each other, like, you know, fourth quarter finish, or, you know, if we're in the second period of practice, like finish, and be ready to reset and finish again and be ready to reset, you know. So it's one of those things, like, we just got to keep training ourselves to be as consistent as possible.
Okay, let's go to Keegan Renault and then Parker Thune.
Yeah, DaShaun, I know I asked you last week about, tackling and effort not being an issue, and obviously it was on Saturday in Ames. Just how disappointing was that from your perspective? I know you missed a couple tackles as well, but just how disappointing was it that it just didn't translate from one week to the next, and how quickly can that get fixed?
Very disappointing, like I said, especially going back watching the film. It was just like, I mean, that was the big issue that we could circle and stop it right there, Yeah, like I said, very disappointing. But it's one of those things that, we just got to continue to work on. It's been a good week of practice. We've been, like I said, pretty physical this week. We've tackled pretty well in practice. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. When we get to the game, we got to bring our A game, and we got to come ready to wrap up, ready to, not every shot's going to be a kill shot, that sort of stuff. So we just got to be ready to play smart, ready to play consistent.
Okay, Parker Thune and then Ryan Chapman.
Yeah, DaShaun, I'm curious. You're actually leading the team in sacks right now. So I'm wondering, is that more or less frustrating to you to be playing well as an individual while the defense struggles as a whole?
I don't know if I would say I've been playing well, because I feel like my accomplishments or the way I play will revolve around the way we play as a defense. So, I mean, I can't say that I'm playing well, because if I was playing well, we'd probably be a much better spot right now as a team. But, I mean, that's the best way I can answer that, to be honest with you.
Thanks, DaShaun.
Okay, last 2 questions, Ryan Chapman and then James Hale.
Hey, DaShaun, obviously Texas was the new offensive coordinator coming in this year. The offense hasn't really seemed to be kind of part of their problem. What do you guys see, and what do you guys have to do differently to prepare for them this year than years past?
Yeah, honestly, it's a lot like it was in the past, if I am being honest. But if I would be honest with you, we've got to be ready for their tempo this year. Sort of the same as last year. I mean, there's not a lot different, I feel like it's still sort of Herman's thing. But, yeah, I feel like we're, like I said, very excited for the opportunity. Really good offense. I mean, we're ready to go.
Thanks, Sean.
And James Hale.
Sean, Sam, you played against him last year. He's primarily their running game. The quarterback run game is so important to what they do. I know I've always heard it's hard to defend the quarterback run game. Is it? And what do you guys got to try to do to stop that?
I mean, I would say, yeah, the quarterback run game is one of the harder, things to stop and as a defense. But I'm confident in our ability this week to stop the quarterback run game, just because, somebody's got to get free, and that's what it comes down to, who's going to make a play, because there's going to be a hat on the hat, who's going to come free and make a play. And so, like I said, I'm confident in my guys. I'm confident in myself to be able to, make that play. So we'll be ready.